Many schools are using Microsoft Forms these days to gather the results of questionnaires that they're sending out to pupils, parents and staff. As a school, you can create a form that allows you to do a survey of your staff, to set quizzes, to take polls of staff opinion and pupil opinion and parent opinion. And you can even look to do some formative assessment with Microsoft Forms. And it's really easy to set those forms up. They're really easy to share. They look great on a screen and they look great on a mobile device like a mobile phone. Microsoft Forms itself provides you with some analysis of that data built into Microsoft Forms. But it's also possible to link your Microsoft Forms to Power BI. So as users enter data directly into a form, you have that data automatically updating a Power BI report. So you can link then that data not just with the data that comes from the form, but you can also link that data to pupil demographic data, to assessment data, and so on. So there's a lot of possibilities, I think, for schools to link Microsoft Forms with Power BI. Now, the easy part is the Power BI part. The difficult part of this is to create the link with your Microsoft Forms results, because those results are tucked away a little bit within Microsoft Forms and are quite difficult to get access to. But in this video, I'll show you how you can do it. On the screen here, I've got an example of the sort of questionnaire that you can create. It's an example staff questionnaire, and we're just asking the staff to rate one of these questions. These are the questions that I've stolen really from Ofsted. These are very similar to the questions that Ofsted will ask when you come for an inspection. And I've just asked the staff to rate them on a scale from strongly disagree to strongly agree. You see, it's pretty standard stuff. Also on this, there are some free text columns, boxes rather, where staff can enter just their comments, suggestions, anything that they want. And we've got one or two where they can choose one from many options, and another example where you're basically giving them a number in the range 1 to 10, between not at all likely and extremely likely. It's all pretty standard stuff. You've got this one at the bottom here where you can change the order, the ranking of a set of criteria. So that's what the end users have to do. They then submit these. And you'll see it looks absolutely great on, this is a PC screen, but if I switch to the mobile view, it looks just as good on a mobile view as well. So these are really easy to use. They're also shareable. To share it with your staff, you basically get a link. You can copy that link and pop it in an email, send it out to staff, and they get a link straight to your questionnaire. So it's simple and it's straightforward. Once your staff have completed the form, you as the creator of the form can go to responses. And you'll see that within Microsoft Forms you get a reasonably good analysis of the results. But you also have this option to open the results in Excel. And when you do, it takes you to the web version of Excel where you have a version of your results. And that's great. But you don't always want to analyze it from Excel. You might want to take it into Power BI. The problem happens when we try and identify where this file sits. It sits within Forms somewhere, and it's very difficult when you're in Power BI to tell Power BI exactly where to pick up this form from. It doesn't have a file name in the same way as we're used to a normal Excel file having a file name. So what we're going to do is going to show you how you can do that, how you can tie this set of results into Power BI. Now, the key takeaway from this video should be that if you want to integrate your Microsoft Forms results with Power BI, create the initial form in SharePoint. If you create the initial form in SharePoint, rather than going to forms.office.com, which is the normal place where you create your forms, if you create them in SharePoint at the start, at the get-go, you'll find it much easier to integrate them later with Power BI. I'll show you how to do that now. Here I am in forms.office.com. You can see there I'm in forms.office.com. Don't use forms.office.com to create a new form, so don't click New Form here. Instead, go to the app launcher at the side here. And you should find that in your list of apps is one that says SharePoint. click on SharePoint. That will take you through to your school's SharePoint site. Now I've got a few sites listed here, so I'm going to choose my example school team here. And this gives me a documents area where I can save documents. Now, make sure that this SharePoint site is as secure as you need it to be. Obviously, if you're keeping student information in this questionnaire, this needs to be in a secure part of SharePoint. You'll have to check with your IT support people as to whether this constitutes a secure place to keep the responses to your questions in, but do check first. And here we have a list of basically files and subdirectories. You can see I've created a subdirectory here called Microsoft Forms, which has basically got one entry in so far. It's the questionnaire that I've already created. And here we go. This is the key bit. Click on New from here, and you'll see there's an option for Forms for Excel. Click on that one. Give your form a new name and create it. And at this point, everything is as you've used it before. So if you've used forms before, this will be entirely familiar. But the important thing is, once we've created this form, the results are easy for us to import into Power BI. So I'll just go through this form. I'll create a very basic form now, and then we'll pick up from there. Okay, there we go. I've created a very, very simple report there, form, just 3 questions, and I've asked my staff to say whether they strongly agree or strongly disagree with any of those 3 statements. So we can preview that now and see what it will look like. We could add questions to it if we wanted to, and so on and so forth, but let's pretend that that's enough for us now. We can, if we go to preview, we can actually type in some example responses here. So let's put in some example responses. I'll just pop 3 in. There we go. And once we've done that, we can see in the responses tab that we've got 3 responses. I can click on that now. And there's a basic analysis within that, but I can also click on Open in Excel, and this opens the workbook online. And sometimes you might notice that when it first comes up, it doesn't have all the responses that you've typed in there. But this is a live spreadsheet, so wait for it, and eventually all the different answers will appear in this spreadsheet. Okay, there they all are. Now, you might be forgiven for expecting perhaps this at the top to be the address that we can use in Power BI, but it's not, unfortunately. We've got to get a different type of URL out of Excel. So what we need to do is go to the desktop version of Excel. So usually I think from editing here, we can click on that and click on the option that says Open in Desktop App. And this should trigger the load for Excel, which should pop up on your screen. And when it opens up, you'll probably find you're on sheet 1, which is usually blank. We'll go to form 1, which is tucked behind. And in form 1, there's your results yet again. Once it's in the desktop app though, go to File and go to Info and go to Copy Path. This is the key bit. If you've followed so far, this path will be the sort of path, the format of path, that when you copy it to your clipboard, we can paste it into Power BI and link to this spreadsheet live. So I'll click on Copy Path. I'm just going to open up Notepad quickly here and paste that in. Notepad, rather. And if I paste that in, you'll see what form that URL is in. And this is the URL that we can use with Power BI. Well, almost. There is one small change we need to make to this. Most of this makes perfect sense. There we can see there's an XLS spreadsheet name on the end there. We need to remove everything after the question mark. So question mark web equals 1 needs to come off. So take that out. That would trigger an error message. And then we'll just copy that into the clipboard and we can launch now Power BI. So if I launch Power BI, so here we go. Here's Power BI, blank report here. And what we're going to do first of all is click on Get Data. Now we're not going to use Excel workbook here. Excuse me. The option that we want here is Web. So we'll click on Web. And here's where we'll paste our URL. So Control V to paste that URL in there, minus the question mark web equals 1, and click on OK. That will then try and connect through to that file. It may need you to re-authenticate because you're still protected by the Windows authentication, so you may need to re-authenticate. Just put your normal Windows user ID and password in. And eventually it will come up with this navigator. And within the navigator you'll see the sheets, and key one for us here is the form that contains our results. So click on form and you can see already that what we've got here are the 3 test results that we put in earlier. Load those up or stay in Power Query Editor, whatever you need to do. That's as far as I'm going to take it for this video, really. The rest of it is Power BI, and I'm sure you're already familiar with Power BI and what that can do. If you're not, I recommend that you look at some of my other videos. Don't forget to subscribe, and thank you very much.